In the Philippines, one of the most important things I think in life is to be able to choose those people who will fit with us, and this is not, it's not as easy as it sounds, because sometimes the most negative people in your life can actually prove to be good friends in other ways. But all of the talk that they have and all of their attitudes, irrespective of how much help they may give you, are destructive to your own way of thinking. Just think about anybody that you know that tends to come out with negative talk. I know that we get lots of that on our channel, where people will say, oh, well, Filipinos are this, they're good, and then they'll come out with lots of negative stuff. And later, despite your best intentions, you'll be thinking those things too, even if in the process of your internal conversation you deny that. Whatever the negative comment was, that, oh, they're bad on this, and then you're saying to yourself, no, they're not bad on that, and then you think about other situations that contradict that, but you're still having that internal conversation. Now, when I was a musician, I worked in a band where the roadie who drove the coach fixed up all of the equipment, set the thing up when we got to the gig, and it was a lot of stuff. It was a 13-piece band that I was in, and we toured all over the country. Well, we spent a lot of time in that 49-seater coach, only 13 or 14 of us, and we spent a lot of time in there. So you hear all of the talk of all of the various people. Well, very quickly you start to choose which people that you like to be with. How do you know that? Well, when you leave them, how do you feel? You feel up or you feel down? Which leads me to think that some people are programmed for bad. Not that they're bad people, but they're programmed for bad news. That's when they know how to deal with bad news, so that's their comfort zone. Then there are other people who are more in tune with good news, and they are the people, if you have any sense, who you want to have in your life. So you choose those people who will take you up. The other people can only take you down. Well, nothing was ever illustrated more than the roadie that was in charge of all of the stuff that I've told you, all of those duties. And that he was more comfortable with things going wrong than he was about things going right, was that he had a hat that he wore that he'd picked up at one of the gigs that we had. And this hat was a Mr. Lincoln, tall, one of those very tall hats. So he had this tall hat that he used to wear, but he only wore it when things were going bad. So with very dry humour that musicians are notorious for in the UK, we used to call him Mr. Jolly. And when things were going bad, how did we know? Someone would say, hey, what happened? The answer would be, I don't know, but Mr. Jolly has his hat on. So, in the end, it was a case of taking that old Hollywood movie song and rewriting it slightly and singing, Mr. Jolly has his hat on, oh hip 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 hooray. And that would really sum it all up. He was comfortable about dealing with bad news. Not that he wasn't capable, he was very capable, it's just that that's where his level was. Now, when I left that band, I kept in touch with Mr. Jolly, because he was a skilled electrician. So at first, this didn't last very long. In the end, I had two people that I asked advice from on electrics. I started to do contracting, and at first, if I had a problem that I wanted to solve, I called Mr. Jolly. And if I said I wanted to wire in a kitchen, this was Mr. Jolly's response. You're going to do that yourself? Well, I'm really asking you, how should I go about that? I mean, I have a pretty good idea, I tell him, but how should I get it? Well, if you're really determined to try, I don't know. You know, you could set the place on fire, don't you? And I would get all of this kind of bad news. That was his level. Now, I had another friend who was from the same band, coincidentally, and I would call him up. And I say, Tony, I have this kitchen and I'm putting in a ring main, a new ring main. How do I go about that? And we'd make a joke, and in the end I would joke and I would call him and say, Tony, the ring main has caught fire, what do I do next? And of course, then he would tell me, well, this is what you do, first off. And then he would just take me step by step through what I needed to do. He didn't think straight off that I couldn't do it. He didn't erode my confidence about it. He said, right, you have to be careful. Do exactly what I say. And I was very good at following instructions, so guess who I spoke to after that? Did I call Mr. Jolly? No, I didn't. Now, do we all have Mr. Jollies in our life? Yes, we do. Do we all have Mr. Tonys in our life who say, you can do this? Yes, we do. So, who are you going to talk to? Mr. Jolly or Mr. Tony? And the choice seems obvious. Now, whenever you listen to a motivational speaker, one of the things that they usually say is, you are a composite. We are a composite of the 6 people who we spend the most time with. Well, spending the most time with can mean anything from emailing to actually going out and having a beer with someone or a coffee. Those people are the ones who you are having internal conversations with most of the time. Now, I've had other people who they start to tell me about their friends. And what happens? They relate, if they have a Mr. Jolly in their lives, they will relate to me conversations that they've had with Mr. Jolly, their Mr. Jolly. And it will always be negative stuff. Now here's the irony. If you've suffered at the hands of a Mr. Jolly, what is it that makes you recount those things that he has told you? Well, that's the thing about negativity. It just seems to stick. Now, this is the point at which you have to decide, who are your people going to be? And if you can't get rid of the Mr. Jollies, at least limit how much you spend with them in terms of time. And that's the whole point there, is that you are being affected. You may say, I've had people say this, well, no one can affect you if you don't respect their opinion. No, statements that are negative stick. They stick in spite of you. You hear people in your mind, you hear these conversations happening, and you battle through those conversations. Excuse me. Mental though they may be, they are very powerful, and thought has the power of affecting how we are. it affects our health, it affects our attitudes. And if you allow those people in your life, don't be surprised if you find yourself affected and your confidence being eroded. Instead, find those people who will support you. Find those people who will tell you that you're good. This is not a matter of denial and, so you can't take any constructive criticism? No, that's not a reality. The point is that you have to decide to believe what you want to believe, and that belief should be based in how you're going to be affected. If you buy into these situations where you can't do something, where there's a sharp intake of breath, like Mr. Jolly, then get yourself out of there. So now, the next time that a Mr. Jolly decides that they're going to give me a load of crap on my channel, this is what I would say to you. Mr. Jolly got your hat on, oh hip 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 hooray! Delete. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. Hope you get rid of your Mr. Jolly, because he ain't no fun to have around, hat or no. Thanks for watching. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Look forward to you seeing me again. Bye for now.